This is the Vic Feazell Show podcast, brought to you by Moroso Wood-Fired Pizzeria and Pinewood Roasters and Coffee Bar.
It is October 9th, 2019, Vic. We are on the record.
On the record. I'm enjoying this, Jonathan. I've been having such a good time doing this with you.
Yeah, man, and tell us what happened down in tell us what happened yesterday. We have some fans.
Oh man, this was so cool. I was driving from Waco to Austin yesterday. I had some business in Austin to take care of at the Austin office where Jonathan is still working until he gets up here to Waco next month.
That's right.
That's right.
My hands are actually coated in paint from painting the new house.
I'm really excited about getting you up here. But I was driving down and I was going the back way through Crawford, McGregor, Moody, then Temple, so I can miss some of that I-35 because I don't want to see all those dead bodies that get dumped along there. You know? So that's all we've been talking about lately is dead bodies along I-35.
Yeah, seems to be the top of our discussion.
Don't litter.
Don't litter. What is the Texas thing? All those bumper stickers.
Oh, don't mess with Texas.
Don't mess with Texas.
Yeah.
There it is.
Don't mess with Texas. Don't litter.
We should create some new bumper stickers for for bodies on 35. We'll think something.
Don't throw your bodies on I-35. We're full. So anyway, I pull into Brookshire Brothers because I was going to pick up a care package for my dad. He likes snacks, jerky, marshmallows, vanilla wafers. Yeah.
Just campground raccoon snacks.
Yeah, it's hard to get good stuff in the nursing home, you know. So anyway, I was picking up some stuff for Dad, and I go in and I'm checking out, and I have on my little podcast button, and it's got the cartoon Vic face on it.
Yeah. And
the cashier, the lady says, "Are you Vic Feazell?" And I usually go, "Well, that depends on who's asking."
Yeah.
But I said, "Yeah, I am." And she said, "Is that a button from your podcast?" And I said, "Yeah, you know about the podcast?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm in a book club down here, and we've been talking about your podcast. I haven't listened to it yet, but we're going to start listening to it, and we're going to discuss it in the book club."
That's pretty cool, dude.
Cool.
That's
so
cool.
I went out to the truck, and I got some pins and stickers and a stack of coasters. And because we have coasters now. You can find those coasters on our store page.
Yes.
We're selling coasters and stickers and
buy a set of
buttons. 4. If I run into you, I'll give you one. But if you want them, we have to pay for the mailing and everything. So go to our store page and look, and we'll send you some stickers and buttons and coasters.
Sorts of fun stuff in there. We got T-shirts coming soon.
T-shirts coming soon. I was talking to Laura Lee Washington just this morning. She's married to Dylan Washington, who is one of the owners over at Pinewood Coffee Roasters.
Pinewood Roasters. Yes.
Yeah. Pinewood is one of our sponsors. We love Pinewood.
Their coffee is so good, man.
It's so good. And I
have
want
these cold brews that are just incredible.
I had never had a cold brew before. As old as I am, I had never had one until I had one over there just a few months ago. And now that's my drink of choice, especially in the summertime.
Of course, a cold brew to you is probably just coffee that got cold.
Yeah, that's true.
It's been sitting out too long. We got the cold brew.
Yeah, I got to watch how much coffee I drink because I don't want to go back to being a smart mouth like I was when I was DA.
Is that your trigger, is coffee?
It really is. I'm telling you, I went back and thought about it, and I think I was drinking 30 or 40 cups a day.
That's not healthy.
It had become an OC, obsessive compulsive disorder kind of habit. I always had to have that cup of coffee in my hand.
That's pretty trippy, man.
And the coffee pot was just right outside my office, in the DA's office. So anytime I walked out my door, there was the pot, and I'd fill up the cup. Yeah. So anyway, I was talking to Laura Lee this morning, and she's gonna do some T-shirt designs for us on some of our vintage stuff to make them look so we can get new shirts, but that look vintage.
I'm all about it.
Yeah, the one with the handcuffs, you know, and the handcuffs breaking, and another cartoon Vic, but younger cartoon Vic.
We can do that.
We can do that. So yeah, so that's pretty neat. We're going to do the T-shirts. So go to the store page and look at that, you know, and send us your money. Keep those tithes and offerings coming in so we can keep this valuable ministry on the air. Yeah. That's what the TV preachers used to say when I was a kid. Keep those tithes and
Just the
offerings
worst.
coming in.
Just the worst.
Just the worst. Yeah, anyway, it's cheap. Go to our store and look at it. We're selling books, too. Rhino, Sharks, and Unicorns is up there. You can buy it direct from Amazon, or you can download the Kindle copy, or we've got some paperbacks that I'll sign and mail to you. So go to the store and look.
Yeah.
The people we've had on as guests, Hugh Ainsworth. Hugh's written a bunch of books.
He's written a whole bunch of them.
He's quite a guy. We've got his books, links to his books on our website.
Yeah.
So go look there. I mean, whether you're interested in the John Kennedy assassination, because he was there. He saw it.
Very few can
He
say
saw
that.
all of it.
Yeah.
He saw Lee Harvey Oswald getting arrested, and he saw Lee Harvey Oswald getting murdered by Jack
You
Ruby.
almost said Ozzy Osbourne. You
Ozzy
almost said
Osbourne, yeah.
Lee Ozzy Osbourne.
He saw him bite the head off a rat.
Yeah, there you go.
Or was that a bat?
It was a bat.
Yeah. Ew.
That's pretty crazy though, that he was there for all three. Like no one was there for all three except for
No
him.
one. That's Witness to History. Yeah, I think that's something like that. It's the name of one of his books. But check out our website, because we've got all of Hugh's books about John Kennedy, about Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
And he's working on one now about Henry Lee Lucas.
I'm kind of surprised he hasn't put one out about Lucas till now.
You know, me too.
I wonder why.
It's been all these years. It's because it just didn't have an ending yet.
Yeah.
It didn't have an ending. And now it's got an ending because of DNA.
Yes.
You know? I mean, all of these cases now that are being reopened and being solved by using DNA. So we've got my book on there, and I got to tell you, that's book one of a 3-book series, and I'm going to finish the other 2. I've already got book 2 nearly finished, but I'm writing a book myself about Henry Lucas and myself.
That's going to be awesome.
I hope so.
I personally can't wait to read it because we've talked about it here and there. And
Yeah. And I'm using this podcast as sort of an outline for it.
yes.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot shorter than the podcast because we get to go into much more detail here. But and it's not going to be like the book Hugh's writing, because Hugh's writing more about what happened with the task force and the confessions and undoing the confessions the way we've been doing on the podcast here.
Yeah.
I'm mainly going to write about what I went through.
Yeah, man.
You know, oh my God, they put me through a lot, man.
That's true.
They put me through a lot, and how I was able to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned before, partly I dealt with it by conscious breathing.
Yes.
Meditation, conscious breathing, and then later in life I discovered yoga. Which brings me to MC Yogi.
Your friend.
My friend, I love him, and his wife Amanda. She's the most wonderful artist, and so is he. And he's a musician. Check out his music on YouTube.
And you can get his book on the website.
And you can get his book, Spiritual Graffiti, on our website. We got a direct link to his book. Order it. Go look at his page. He's got some cool T-shirts and other things too. He's a great yoga teacher. I spent 2 fabulous weeks with him in Sri Lanka last year doing yoga. And I got to say, when you're doing yoga in Sri Lanka, every class is a hot class.
True story. Remember the time you invited me to yoga, Vic?
I do.
You invited me on what was known as Fire Day.
Well, that was the fire class. Yeah,
And
it's a
for the
pretty hot
record,
class.
I almost passed out and I had to leave the class.
You did? You did? You looked like a beached
Oh, my
seal
God,
laying
man.
there, sweating and huffing.
I hadn't worked out in probably a decade.
Uh-huh.
You're like, oh, you got to come to yoga, and I finally did it. And unbeknownst to, I mean, and to say you didn't know it was Fire Day, but my God, I was passed out, dude. I'm like,
know.
I'm passing out. I'm passing out. I had to leave the room.
I should have warned you. You know, they have other classes that don't have it that hot. Now, that was when I lived in Austin, and I was going to Sunstone Yoga in Austin. And the class that you showed up for was their hottest class, 105 degrees.
Yeah. Yep. I felt it.
105 degrees. I mean, even your eyeballs sweat when
Yeah.
you're doing yoga at 105 degrees.
I gotta say, you're in way better shape than I am, man.
And I'm old, dude. You're always picking on me about the way I talk. I use phrases and words from not last century, but the century before.
Yeah, well, you're talking about dogs and mangers. I don't think I've ever seen a manger in my life unless it's in a nativity scene.
Well,
so
but-
you're going like biblical age on me, man.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, but you know what a manger is, and the dog in the manger. That's what these police departments are doing. They're not letting us get to these files. They're saying we're not going to look at them, but you can't look at them either. Just like that dog says, I'm not going to eat that straw, but I'm not going to let these cows and sheep eat it.
I'm going to let you eat that straw.
Grrr. Yeah, I know.
You crack me
So
up.
MC Yogi, man, he's great. I want to get him to Waco. Him and Amanda both. We need a yoga festival in Waco.
That'd be really cool.
I know. If you know Chip and Joanna, tell them about my podcast. They'd like to listen to it. I mean, shoot, they grew up in Waco. They know about Waco. We're talking
They live
Waco
at the end of your
history.
street.
They do. They
Which is
live right
crazy.
down the road from me. I'm always having to drive past people who are blocking the road to take pictures
pictures.
of their house.
Which granted, their house is gorgeous, but
Oh, yeah.
every time I come to your place, every time there's people pulled over and they're out taking pictures.
Yeah.
Every time.
About 2 weeks ago, they finally had to put a sign out front that said, "Please don't block drive." Please do not block drive.
So it's going to park a little further back now and walk to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Although, when I was coming to the office this morning,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that sign.
So,
Somebody
So they
stole
took it
it
down.
as a souvenir, I think. I'll see. I'll
Oh,
check.
man.
Maybe I just didn't see it, or maybe the landscaper moved it. But I'll check when I drive home tonight, see if it's still there. But hey, Chip and Joanna, I'm going to be like Mr. T calling Rocky. Bring me Balboa. Bring me Balboa. Well, I want Chip and Joanna to bring MC Yogi here for yoga at the silos.
that'd be pretty cool, man.
I mean, please go listen to his music on YouTube. Listen to Breathe Deep.
Yeah.
I love that song. That song, we played that song, part of it, in episode 1
Yeah.
of our podcast.
Breathe deep, deep breath. Inhale, exhale to release the stress. Deep breath.
But yoga at the silos, man, with MC Yogi. I see I envision a concert down at Indian Springs Park.
Where's Indian Springs Park?
It's down by the suspension bridge.
Oh,
And there's this
cool.
cool little amphitheater thing down there where you can sit on the grass, put your blankets out. Let's do
Nice.
it when it's not too hot, you know. And he's got he's just got wonderful sound equipment. A guy that travels around with him, some named Crisanto Santana, and I know Crisanto, and he's a cool little guy too, and very talented with his music. And he backs MC Yogi up with the actual music part of it, and MC Yogi's doing the singing, and it's mainly rap. And I don't like rap, but I like this because it's so
it's
positive.
different, man. Yeah, it's super
different,
positive.
Yeah.
So,
So
I'm not a big rap guy either, but I gotta say, I mean, his stuff is cool, dude.
he's
He's definitely a gateway into that style.
He is, and he's such an example for young people because he started out
We need more of those.
in foster homes. He started out in trouble with the police until his dad had visitation with him, and his visiting with his dad noticed that his dad was changing for the better. And he said, "Dad, what have you been doing?" He said, "I've been doing yoga."
Really?
Yeah, and Nick, his name is Nick. Nick said, MC Yogi's name is Nick. He said, "Well, maybe I should do yoga." And his dad was really smart. His dad said, "No, I don't think you could handle it. It's probably too rough for you." And that's all. That reverse psychology.
The hell I can't.
So he started doing yoga, and it has become his life. And he's really good at it. And he's such a fabulous teacher. And he's funny, and he's spiritual, and he's solid, and he's honest, and he's truthful. And his music reflects that. So bring me Chip and Joanna, and let's get this started. And Dylan Meeks, if you're listening to this, Dylan is He's on the city council. He's thinking about running for mayor. I think Dylan would be a great mayor. I want to talk to Dylan about the Indian Springs Park part and get Dylan to be a partner with us on this. So I'm giving a shout out to all you guys. Let's make this happen next year or the year after that at the latest. Let's make it happen, and let's have a big party here and introduce this whole town to yoga, because it's so fabulous, and it'll keep you healthy, and it'll keep you flexible.
Or if you're me, it just makes you pass out.
Yeah, well, when you get up here, we're going to do some yoga, but I'll take you to one that's not hot.
No more fire.
Yeah. I don't want to be pushing you around in a wheelchair someday, Jonathan.
Well, I don't want to be in a wheelchair. But just no more fire class. Let's ease into it this time.
Who else? We have some other books on our website too. Let me see.
We have Lynn Woolley.
Lynn Woolley, Last Great Days of Radio. Lynn's going to be on our show.
Yes.
We've already recorded these episodes, and he's scheduled to. His are going to go live
In November.
Yes. So listen to the Lynn Woolley stuff. And Lynn has started his own podcast. It's called, look it up for me, something to do with logic. He just started it. He did have a radio show with a huge following, but he's got a podcast now that's called Planet Logic.
Yes.
So look for Planet Logic. I don't endorse what he's saying. Lynn and I are on totally opposite ends of the spectrum politically. Well, no, not really. I'm not on the spectrum. He's on the far right, and I'm in the ozone. I wouldn't call myself
The ozone?
left. Yeah, I'm in the ozone. I don't buy into those right-left labels. I'm real ozone, middle of the road kind of guy. And Lynn and I go way back. Lynn was a reporter who covered me while I was DA.
Yeah.
And covered the DA's office, and he talks about that. So tune in to those Lynn Woolley shows that are going to be coming up.
He does great impressions, and he's very, very, very punny.
He's
Tons
real
of puns.
punny. I want to get him to do some voiceovers for us with some of his characters.
Yeah.
Also, he's invited me to come down and be on his podcast.
That'd be cool.
That'll be so much fun, because he and I play off each other really well. And we're so opposite, but we get along.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, I love to talk about Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp, you know?
Yeah.
Because I've read everything I can, and I've seen all the movies. I've seen Tombstone 10 times, maybe 20. Doc Holliday was a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was a drinking, gambling, fun-loving Democrat. Wyatt Earp was a teetotaling Republican.
Yeah.
Teetotaler, man. Conservative as they came, enforced the law all the way, you know.
Yeah.
And he was a Republican. But Wyatt and Doc were best friends. Mm-hmm. They could put their politics aside and still watch each other's back and be best friends. Well, that's me and Lynn Woolley.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. And
I
so I love
appreciate that.
Lynn. Tune in, and if you agree with him, tell him you agree with him. And if you don't agree with him, tell him he's full of crap. Because I tell him that all the time.
Dude.
Yeah, so listen to Lynn. And we got another buddy we're going to start promoting too, John Harrell. John Harrell out of
Yes.
Austin, Texas.
Yes, I remember when his son interned with us.
Yeah, I
Remember
do too. That
Yeah,
was
man.
fun.
Nice kid.
He was a nice kid. We might have picked on him a little too much.
Oh,
Yeah.
He was
But,
at that
you
age
know-
where he needed it. Oh, man.
But John has written a book called Killing My Father and Then Finding Him. 'Cause John had a rough upbringing. His father was abusive. But John learned a lot of lessons and got over it, you know, and learned from it. Now he's helping other people who are going through that. It's a good read. I've read it. John is also real active in a group called Rachel's Challenge.
What's that?
Rachel was a girl who was killed at Columbine.
Oh, wow.
Yes. It's a wonderful story. I don't want to go into talking to it too much, but I'd encourage you to Google Rachel's Challenge. And John Harrell works a lot with Rachel's Challenge. In addition to his full-time job with Wells Fargo, he works as a financial advisor. He also works volunteer for Rachel's Challenge and gives speeches all over. And Rachel's Challenge is an anti-bullying program.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
and Rachel was a really special girl. And her father started this foundation in her honor. And when you get into the story, it'll make you cry.
Ooh.
It's sweet, but it's a little eerie, supernatural too. So I encourage you to look into Rachel's Challenge story, and if you want a good speaker on anti-bullying, contact John Harrell,
Cool.
and we'll be putting his info up on the website too.
Trippy.
So that's fun. Another thing, as far as housekeeping business, we promised we would put up pictures of Otis Toole, and we haven't done that yet.
Oh no, we have.
Oh, we have?
Yeah, we got one picture up right now showing how goofy he is.
Okay, good. So you got to go see what Otis looked like, because in some of our previous episodes we talked about when Mike Ferry, the investigator for Attorney General Jim Maddox, went to Florida and interviewed Otis Toole. And that's when Otis Toole told him about being a cross-dressing prostitute, and that he would pick up men on the street.
What do you say? I'd get your money.
If I was on the street, I'd get your money. Yeah.
Oh God,
That's what he told Mike Ferry. And so
that's creepy.
yeah, so we wanted to put up a picture of Otis so you could see I was not exaggerating when I was talking about how weird looking he is,
Yeah, he's
and
kind of
how
a
homely.
strange looking dude.
He would never pass for a woman.
Let alone a human.
Let alone, yeah, he has a little trouble with that. But yeah, so we've got the picture of Otis up now. Go to our website, vicfeazell.com. We got all kinds of cool stuff
Yeah,
on
check
there.
out the archive page.
Tell us about the archive page.
Well, so every episode or series we put out the supporting documents that go with it. So for this one, we started talking about Otis and the Rita Salazar Frank Key murder case. So actually, if you go, we have a description of the episodes, a little bit about the murders and a little backstory. And then we have copies of Henry's confession on there, Otis's confession, some pictures. In every series and episode we do, we have that. So as you're listening along, go to the archive page, check out the documents we're referencing.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
I want to plug one more podcast, a brand new one that just came out.
What is it?
Legal Warrior,
Yes.
Gary Richardson.
Yes.
Gary, when he saw that we had started a podcast, remember you said, I said, we're going to have Gary Richardson on as a guest. And you said, yeah, he'll be taking over.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, he will. That's Gary. I love him. Well, he's not taking us over. He's doing his own podcast.
Yeah.
And I've listened to it, and I like it.
Yeah.
He's still finding his legs a little bit, but it's getting better and better and better and better. And he's now starting to talk about Henry Lucas some, because Gary represented Henry for a while.
Did he?
He did.
When?
When I was DA, after Guy Cox was no longer representing Gary, and Gary volunteered.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, man, he came to Waco, met with Henry in Waco. He tried to meet with Henry in Georgetown. He drove to Georgetown after Boutwell took Henry back.
Does he know where to be found?
And he had a letter that I'm Henry's lawyer. He had the letter, and Henry had signed off on it. He had a letter that he had written to the Rangers saying, don't talk to my client. Boutwell said, I don't care what that letter says.
Oh, no way.
Matter of fact, I've got a copy of that
In true
letter.
Boutwell fashion.
I think we should put this letter on our website too.
Yeah, let's put it up.
But it's
I did not know that till today, Vic.
yeah. He even went to El Paso and represented Henry in El Paso for a little while before Rod Punton got involved.
Oh, wow.
Now, Gary didn't go to any trials with Henry. Gary mainly was there representing Henry, trying to get Henry court-appointed lawyers on the other cases,
Oh.
and trying to keep Boutwell from talking.
He was
to
a
him.
Henry Lucas task force.
He
you know,
was
trying to-
he was yes.
Trying to do good.
That's what he was doing. I also found the letter from Dr. James Jolliffe. He was the Waco psychiatrist who interviewed Henry when we got possession of Henry.
And I've got a copy with me too. If you want to talk about this one, this is pretty cool stuff. because we've never really gone super deep into the psychology of this thing, and that's what Jolliffe did.
Yes, he did.
He went into let's see here. He gave Henry a neuropsychiatric evaluation.
What's the date of this report?
It is May 4th of 1985.
So that would have been within just a few days of us getting Henry to Waco, because it was what, April 18th?
It was somewhere in there.
18th, I think, that we actually went down and picked him up, somewhere in there. Because man, that's when the crap hit the. That's when the ship hit the sand. That's when all the crap started.
Did you just make that up?
No.
See, I have to wonder with you because you say things like dog and manger, ship and sand. I swear you just make it up on the fly, and you look at me like, is he gonna buy it?
A while ago, you looked at me funny before we started recording. I said, "Well, let's make some hay," and you go, "What?"
Like, what does that even mean? Like, do we
make hay?
Do we go out and grow it? Then we chop it down, we bale it? Like, what is the process?
That means let's get to work. Make hay while the sun shines. We have an opportunity to do some work here. Let's get it done.
It's like my grandmother.
Yeah, I'm probably older than her.
Fair. No, I don't know.
All right, so May 4th, 1985, we've got this letter from James Jolliffe. He was the psychiatrist who interviewed Henry Lee Lucas right after we got him back. And then he wrote this report on May the 4th.
Right. So,
which is a famous date too, May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
That's Star Wars Day.
May the 4th be with you.
Yes.
Terrible.
Tell us what that letter says, Jonathan.
So it's fascinating because Jolliffe starts by saying his story is strange, but believable. I find right off the bat that it almost seems like through this that there is some instant rapport that he has with Henry to where, and we all know this too, at this point the gig is up. Henry's confessed to you as well as to Hugh that it's all made up. So it is pretty interesting that right off the bat, Jolliffe and him have this rapport to where it seems like Henry is being totally honest with him, and that Jolliffe picks him up as being believable and not showing any signs of,
And that's about the believable about the recanting, and about the Conway and the Rangers feeding him information and forcing him to confess.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he says, Dr. Gold and I concur that he is telling the truth at last. He said the major psychological theme in his life has been one of seeking justice from authorities. And Vic, you said that he wanted to please authorities, and that most of his life he'd been done injustices by authorities, but at this point he wanted to see justice done to them.
Yeah, he felt like all his life the authorities had let him down. He had been abused as a child. Nothing ever happened. He was abused in school. Nothing ever happened. He was put in prison, and he was homosexually raped repeatedly, and nothing happened. And he just felt like that he had been a victim of the system, a victim of the criminal justice system, and that they had let him down. And then he told me when he was forced to confess to Kate Rich, that's when he said, I'm just going to confess to everything.
That was his bottom.
Yeah. I'm going to screw with him. I'm going to make it as ridiculous as I can make it. I think I mentioned in a previous episode, Henry Lucas told me that he wanted to get as many as, he said it like this, what's that guy's name? I wanted to kill as many as Hitler. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of people, Henry. I don't think there are enough days.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So that's fascinating though. That was his bottom was the Kate Rich, and obviously he tried suicide twice. And what you just said, his report says in childhood he ran away from home repeatedly, trying to tell the authorities to put him in a foster home or a children's home rather than having to go back home. Like, that's how terrible his home life was, is that he did reach out to, like, please get me out of here, put me in a foster home, which, God,
Yeah, no. Please put me in a foster home. Yeah. It must have been pretty sad where he was.
And he said that he repeatedly felt that the authorities let him down.
And this mother that was abusing him all the time and beating him up, making him dress like a girl sometimes.
Whoa.
I think that's just because they didn't have any clothes.
Yeah.
But that's the same mother that he got in a drunken fight with and killed her and went to prison for.
Right.
You know, so he really felt let down. Here's this woman that's been abusing me my whole life. We get in a fight, and I accidentally kill her, and now I'm the one going to prison when she's been beating me up since I was born.
And even the accidental killing, remember? He like nicked her with a knife. But then she had a heart attack, and that's what killed her.
Right.
It wasn't even like he stabbed her through and dropped her. It was like he like nicked her, and she had a heart attack and died.
Exactly.
So it's like
They were screaming and yelling and going crazy with each other, and she was beating him with a broom, and he pulled the knife out and nicked her with it.
Yeah.
The knife nick was not the cause of death.
right.
It was not the producing cause of death at all. She had a heart attack. Now, if Henry had had a decent lawyer, he could have gotten out of that.
Yeah.
You know, but the problem is our justice system is screwed up.
It's definitely hedged against the poor.
It's totally hedged against the poor. If you can afford a good lawyer, your chances are so much better. So much better. Number one, you're going to be out on bond instead of sitting rotting in jail while you lose your apartment, lose your job, lose your wife, lose your kids, lose everything, you know, because you can't afford this bail, which is supposed to be there just to get you to show back up for court. It's not supposed to be a punishment to keep you in jail. But we have people sitting in jail sometimes 4 or 5 years waiting for their trial, then only to have the case dismissed. That's totally unfair. That's immoral. It's so unfair.
Yeah.
We need to fix it. Our bail system in this country is unconstitutional. I wish I were a federal judge. By God, I'd do something about it. I'd be a federal judge the way, oh man, who's that judge we had in Tyler back in the 70s? I used to love that guy.
You're barking up the wrong tree for that knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. He was a good judge. I liked him. He's the one who reformed our prison system here. Because we used to have a prison system in Texas where the warden would pick the toughest, meanest guy who was in for life and say, you're in charge.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was called the building tender. And he would get to
Wow.
pick his deputies. And they were in charge, and they got to do anything they wanted to anybody.
Where was Cool Hand Luke set? Wasn't that in Texas?
You know, I don't know. I'm
That
going
was
to
a
have to
great
pull
movie.
that out.
Just to throw that in as an aside. That's a
Yeah.
great movie.
Bonnie and Clyde was set mostly in Texas.
Right.
And Clyde got sent to prison before he started all the robberies with Bonnie. Clyde was actually a pretty calm guy before he was sent to prison. It was prison that turned him into a killer because he also got homosexually raped repeatedly in prison by the building tender.
Whoa.
And he finally had enough. He smuggled a lead pipe out of the shop where he was working, and when he headed to the shower, he knew that guy was going to be coming in after him. He had the pipe hidden in the towel, and when that guy walked around the corner to rape him this time, Clyde Barra hit him in the head,
Wow.
and then took a knife, nicked himself, and then put the knife in this other guy's hand, and they determined that he had lost a fight in a knife fight, and it was his fault. So Clyde didn't get punished for that. But that's what turned Clyde into a killer. That's the first person Clyde ever killed. The Texas penal system turned him into a cold-blooded murderer because of the way they treated him when he was in there. We're humans. We should treat everybody else like humans,
Yeah.
which means with respect. Our founding fathers knew that. They said we were all given these inalienable, God-given rights, you know? And so we need to keep that in mind.
Yes.
So, yeah, so here's
So
poor old
Henry had a rough go.
He had a rough go, man. He had a glass eye. He had his eye knocked out when he was 6 years old.
God. Terrible upbringing, terrible time in prison. And also remember too, he was stabbed in prison.
He was.
And lost some of the penis function.
Stabbed in the lower gut and stabbed so hard it came out part of his rectum.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blade did. And that's what made him impotent. And that's why all these stories about him raping people, you know, it's
Dead sex.
and dead sex. I like dead sex.
Why do you have to say it like that?
Because that's the way Henry would say it. I like to imitate Henry. I like to imitate Boutwell. There's several of them. I do their voices. It's kind of fun. Another thing about Jolliffe's letter.
Yes.
He says that Henry had been diagnosed before as schizophrenic.
Is that true?
No, Jolliffe doesn't think he's schizophrenic. That's just more of that cheap stuff that's going on in our criminal justice system. Yeah, diagnose him schizophrenic. Let's give him a court-appointed lawyer. And man, my heart goes out to court-appointed lawyers. They have enough trouble keeping their lights on,
Yeah.
keeping their utilities paid, because our courts do not pay them enough. We either need to raise what we pay court-appointed lawyers or have a public defender unit set up that's funded almost as well as the DA's office.
Yeah.
Or else people are not getting fair trials.
Yeah.
And you're pushed to plead. Plead it, and you get paid. If you're in trial, you're losing money. So there's almost a built-in conflict of interest here. Because if you go to trial, you're losing money. You're not getting paid enough. You get paid more per hour if you just go down and plead them. And get this, if you work your ass off and find the facts to go talk the DA into dismissing the case because your guy didn't do it, then chances are you're not even going to get paid. So where's the incentive in that to even do the work? None.
Absolutely none. That's crazy.
So we need better psychiatrists. We're working with our incarcerated people, and we need to pay our lawyers better, Just like we need to pay our policemen better. If we paid our policemen better, we'd attract better people.
Yeah.
I mean, they all should be paid better, and we should expect more from them.
Yeah.
I was talking to my friend Stan Mason on the phone earlier this week. Stan is a former Waco policeman who is an advocate for the citizens. A lot of the police didn't like him because he was against police brutality. He's like me. He's in favor of law enforcement, but it ought to be done right.
Yeah.
So anyway, Stan was a real advocate for that. And when Stan retired, he got offered a job in Atlanta, Georgia. He's got his own radio show in Atlanta. So Google Stan Mason. Listen to Stan's radio show. He also does a live cast over Facebook. So tune into his live cast sometimes. Tell him that I told you to listen, and he might give you a shout out and say your name on the radio. Yeah, a friend of Vic's just tuned in. So he's a great guy, and he's always talking about whatever the cutting issue is of the day. Because you and I, we're recording this, and this will probably be on sooner because we're going to plug this one in before we get to some of our others.
True.
But most time we record something 2 or 3 weeks before it actually goes live.
True. There's a lot of research that goes into these podcasts.
I know.
Ooh.
I know.
Ooh. Also heavy lifting. But, like you said, too, in some of these early episodes, we got to get it right. We got to be transparent. We got to have the documents, and it's got to be read right. We don't want to put even a sliver of false information out.
I don't. And
this
if
is
we
direct from the documents.
Exactly. And if we say something false, promo at withvic.com. Send us an email. If we say something that's not right, send us an email and tell us, and we'll check into it. And if we're not right, we'll admit it. And if we are right, we'll tell you how we know we're right and give you the document to prove it.
Yes. Well, so Dr. Jolliffe. So he says here, during his incarceration, he spent several years in a mental hospital and describes hallucinations and paranoid thoughts arising from homosexual attacks during his first 6 months in prison. So to back up what you just said about his time in prison, it was terrible.
It was terrible.
The point he was put in a psych ward? Whoa.
Interesting point here. No documents anywhere, no mention anywhere of Henry ever having hallucinations except in here.
Okay.
So why is it while he was in the mental institution he was having hallucinations?
Well,
but he wasn't before he went in, and he wasn't after he got out.
Well, clearly they were giving him something.
Yeah, they were giving him medication. They over-medicate in those mental hospitals. They do.
Keep you drooling on yourself.
I had to do an internship at the Austin State Hospital when I was working at MHMR back in the 70s. And this was when state hospitals were still really big institutions that housed a lot of people before Ronald Reagan busted up the state hospital system, put it all into the communities so they could be helped in the communities with grant money. And then he jerked the grant money, and then we had all these homeless people on the street.
Oh, great.
Yeah, right. Trickle down the homeless. That's the only place trickle down worked, was trickling the homeless down from the state hospitals into our neighborhoods. Yeah, so anyway, I did an internship at state hospital, and oh my God, it was rough.
Were they still doing lobotomies back then? Was that still a thing?
No, but they still were using electroshock therapy some, and lots of Thorazine.
Yeah.
Some of those people were on so much Thorazine that their skin had turned purple.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
That's creepy.
Yeah, that's a side effect of Thorazine, along with another thing called tardive dyskinesia.
What's that?
That's a strange facial tic you get. That's a side effect from Thorazine where you're constantly squinching your eyes and sticking your tongue out.
Oh.
Yeah, tardive dyskinesia. And so purple
creepy.
skin, tardive dyskinesia, and it makes them very, very sensitive to light and to the sun. And I'm telling you, after 6 weeks down there, the staff members I was working with were crazier than the patients we had in Waco.
Really?
Yeah, it just rubs off. It rubs off. Yeah.
Crazy as a scent.
Yeah, it can rub off on you. It can. I was glad to get out of there because I was starting to pick up some schizophrenic tics myself. Oh my
the
God!
eyes and the tongue.
Why am I doing that? So
Wow.
yeah, so he had it really, really bad.
So it further says, Mr. Lucas says that he consciously decided more than 2 years ago, when he was again unfairly accused of a crime, that he did not commit, to confess to everything anyone wanted him to, until it became ludicrous and obvious to everyone that there were bad authorities who would be willing to have anyone confess to murders just to get them off the books. So there it is.
There it is. And that's that word ludicrous. That's the word I was looking for a while ago. I couldn't come up with it. That's too big a word for me. Ludicrous.
What are you talking about? You just mentioned that weird syndrome.
Oh, tardive dyskinesia? Yeah.
See, that's the thing with you. You're so choosy. And for the record, for some of our listeners, he will forget a name. And yet we'll be editing podcasts. And you'll be like, yeah, minute 50 minutes in and 2 seconds and 32 thousandths of a second. I say a word. Can we get that out?
Don't give away all my tricks, man.
You're totally choosy about what you remember.
I play all shucks a lot. I do.
Wait, what?
All shucks, and rub my foot on the ground like, oh, shucks, what's going on here?
Okay.
I don't know nothing.
Did you just make that up?
What? Shuffling?
Shucks.
Shucks? No. There's one sentence in this letter that really jumps out at me,
What's that?
where Dr. Jolliffe says, there is nothing about him that fits the usual demeanor of a sociopathic killer. Yeah. That's in the third from the bottom paragraph. And we're going to post this on our website, so come back and look for it, vicfeazell.com. He said, I would see him somewhat as passive-aggressive as far as his personality, but no current evidence of any psychosis.
Wow.
And what he was doing with all that confessing was passive-aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll show you.
I'll show you.
I'll just take everything. That's totally passive-aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I know that stuff. I was trained in all that stuff. Matter of fact, I started working in mental health back when the DSM was just the DSM, a diagnostic code manual. It didn't even have a number after it. Yeah, now they're up to like number 7 or 8. They got all kinds of mental illnesses now that wasn't even invented yet back when I was working there.
You just triggered a memory. So obviously you own and operate a personal injury law firm. That's our bread and butter.
That's our bread and butter. That's how we pay for this, people. We don't pay for this by selling stickers and coasters. Although, keep those tithes and offerings coming in so we can keep this valuable ministry on the air.
Wow. Nice tag.
Yeah. The law offices of Vic Feazell. That's a great sponsor for us. We need to find some of my old commercials and play them.
what we do
Yeah.
at the end of the podcast. Those are your car wreck commercials.
Those are the
with
Brian Burns. But I mean the ones even the ones where I'm saying I grew up in Texas. I love this state.
Oh yeah, we're on your back porch with the cowboy hat.
Yeah, I
Remember
try to
those?
drive like I love it. I keep my speed at a lower rate. Keep your speed at a lower rate too. Drive laid back because Texas is a laid back state.
That was a good tag.
Yeah,
I have to
good
say,
tag.
whoever created that, that was a good one.
Oh, I did. I wrote that.
Did you?
I
See?
did.
Man, you're made for this.
Yeah, I know.
You should have your own advertising agency.
But
But
I've been talking to Tim McClure about that. My friend Tim McClure, who started the best advertising agency in the country. It's down in Austin. But yeah, he's retired now. But talk about somebody who knows how to advertise. And Tim's the one who came up with the idea of nicknaming this the VicCast.
the VicCast.
The VicCast. Yes.
I like it. It
Yes.
sticks.
The last time I saw anything from Tim, he was visiting Australia with his wife. Yes.
It's pretty cool.
They were down in Tasmania or someplace. Yeah.
The Tasmanian Devils.
They were. Yeah.
Well, anywho, to loop it back, talking about the personal injury stuff, talking about oddities and weird diagnoses out there. So we had a lady call one time who played Candy Crush, which is a game on your phone, too much to where she was diagnosed, right with this one, with having crushed thumb.
Crushed them. Yeah.
And then she's like, no, really, this is a real thing. They really diagnosed me with having crushed thumb from playing Candy Crush too much.
I
Man,
know.
we live in a weird world.
I know. We had to talk to her about this thing called self-responsibility.
Open
Take
and obvious.
responsibility for your own actions. Yeah, we couldn't take that one. That'd be frisbee finger. It's like frisbee finger. That's a real diagnosis
I feel
too.
like you literally just made that up.
No, I didn't.
What is it?
No,
What
no,
is
no.
it?
No, you can actually injure the tips of your fingers by throwing a frisbee too much. That's
real?
a real diagnosis. Yeah, just like tennis elbow. Now I'm not making this stuff up. You've heard of tennis elbow, I know. Have you ever heard of golf toe?
I don't know where truth and fiction like exist with you sometimes.
They're all true except for golf toe. I just made that one up.
See, totally sellable though. Totally sellable. All right. So what were you talking about here? You're saying
Well, we were talking about the law firm.
the law firm.
So if you've been in a car wreck and you were injured, if you slipped somewhere where you shouldn't have slipped and it wasn't your fault, or if you own a small business and some big business is picking on you, give us a call.
Basically,
And we also do some criminal defense, but only take 10 cases at a time. If I've got 10 in the office and number 11 walks in, we're not going to take it unless you're carrying a check for 50 grand, 100 grand, 20 grand. I might do it for 20, depending on the case. But no, we only keep 10 because the criminal cases take a lot more time and effort.
Yeah.
And I want to give everybody special attention because that's the way our law firm works. We're a boutique law firm.
Yeah, we don't take a ton of cases.
We don't take a ton. We're not like those guys you see on TV where the commercial comes up every 30 seconds.
Oh, God.
Those are sausage grinders, man.
Sausage
They
grinders.
are. You're just a number there. I settled this case for $487,000.23. Give me a break.
It's probably because they settled the cheap. And if we had the case, it would have been $1 million case, and that's the truth, man.
Probably. Yeah, it's
All
You know-
depend how much insurance is there granted, but
our biggest competition, though, is not other lawyers. I like to help the other lawyers as much as I can. Matter of fact, we do get so much business that some of the smaller cases we refer out to other law firms.
Yep.
So I like to help other lawyers as much as I can. But some of this advertising has just gotten out of hand. It has.
yeah. Well, everybody's trying to hedge the system to win.
I'll tell you who our biggest competition is.
Who is it?
Not another lawyer. Our biggest competition is the at-fault drivers insurance company, because they will get on the phone and they will call you and they'll say, don't get a lawyer. You don't need a lawyer. A lawyer's just going to take part of your money. We'll do this. We'll handle it for you. Send us your medical bills. And
Yeah.
they play with you. They drag it out. They might get you to sign a release, and then you can't ever file a lawsuit. And then they don't ever do what they say.
Yep.
Then you call me a year later, even 6 months later, and it's too late.
I can't tell you how many cases we get where people call us exactly that. They only offered me $2,000. I had a broken something or other, and It turns out they signed a release, and it's like,
Signed a
there's nothing we can
release
do, man.
and gave away.
They already got the check, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, man, you
They
settled. your
gave away their
case
case for nothing.
and they're still hurt. Going to have medical bills for the rest of their lives, all because of those insurance companies, man. It's just
Offered them a little right now. And what they don't understand is if they sign with us, we'll get you more than you could have gotten without us. A lot more.
Yeah.
So our part that we take is never missed because we're going to get you so much more because that insurance company, they're just going to walk all over you.
And
They're going to walk all over you and laugh about it.
So you're talking about. I love how we go on these sides, because this is all pertinent information. But to bring it back to Dr. Jolliffe's letter, so he didn't fit the description. You know, he wasn't sociopathic. He didn't seem like the average murderer type. And we see that a lot too in some of the other documents we have and some footage we have with people who personally knew Henry, who, you know, he may have worked for him or, you know, lived in the same community as Henry did. He just didn't fit the description per se of a murderer. And when, you know, the whole Henry Lee Lucas thing broke out and he was, you know, with the Rangers, a lot of his friends, and we have this on video and audio and writing, they just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, no. We have actual video and audio of some of Henry's friends and relatives that we did back in the 80s that we'll be able to play some of those. And they'll say, I saw that on TV and I was so surprised. And that's just not the Henry I knew. Now, sure, listeners will say, well, they say that about every killer.
They say about Bundy too. He was a
they
great
say
guy.
that about Bundy, yeah. But no, Henry was really kind of pathetic and sad. Now, we're going to get into Kate Rich and Becky Powell later, pretty soon. They're the two I have the most trouble with. Now, Attorney General Maddox, he believes Henry killed Kate and Becky. Hugh Ainsworth, he believes that Henry killed Kate and Becky. And those two guys know a lot about it, you know?
Yeah.
I've never been willing to say he killed him. I've been willing to say maybe, probably.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll talk about this more when we get down to it, but if Phil Ryan were not involved in those two cases, I'd be saying Henry didn't do it. But since Phil is involved, and everything I know about Phil, he's always been a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
You know, and I need more information. So when we get down to that, we're really going to dissect it, and I'll talk about what kind of information I need. And you know what? I'd love to have Phil Ryan on this show.
That'd be pretty cool, man.
Wouldn't it?
It would
Now,
be cool.
he's the sheriff out in Decatur now. He retired as a ranger. He got elected sheriff out in Decatur.
Oh, so he just stayed out there.
Uh-huh.
That's cool.
And Decatur was in the news lately.
For what?
That new serial killer that's confessing to everything. Some Texas Ranger got him to confess, and the FBI has now said they've cleared, they've confirmed 50 of these. Some old geriatric guy in a wheelchair who claims he's killed like 100 women. But that guy is in Phil Ryan's jail.
Samuel Little.
Samuel Little. That's his
FBI
name.
confirms he is the most prolific U.S. serial killer.
Samuel Little, not to be confused with Samuel Jackson. Samuel Little.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Samuel Little.
One kills people, one kills parts.
I love Samuel Jackson.
Such a good
But yeah, this dude, Samuel Little, is out in Phil Ryan's jail right now in Decatur being questioned by all these law enforcement people again. And guess what else he's doing? They gave him art supplies, and he's drawing pictures of his victims, and they look just like Henry's
They look
pictures.
just like the Henry pictures.
They
What
do.
is that? Is that like just lack of skill? I mean, I'd probably stick figure personally because I'm terrible.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think it's probably lack of skill.
But they all look the same.
They do, but that Texas Ranger is going, yeah, this is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so, a man that looks just like her, and he's drawing from the memory. And I'm saying, I really would like to see this guy's browser history. Now, we know that they were showing pictures and offense reports to Henry Lucas,
Yeah.
but to this guy, Samuel Little, see if he's had access to a computer.
Yeah.
See if anybody he knows has had access to a computer, and then check their browsing history, because it's just too easy to Google unsolved murdered strangulation.
Oh, God, yes. Especially now.
Yeah. Now, Henry said, I killed him every way except poison.
Yeah.
I even fricasseed a few of them. But this guy says he always strangled them.
Right. That was his MO.
So all it had to do is Google unsolved strangulations, and there's going to be stuff. So I really hope they've done that. He may be legit. I don't think the FBI would jump in there willy-nilly
and throw down that they confirmed.
and throw down
50.
that they confirmed unless they had. I hope not. But, we got a whole new group of people in there now that may not have knowledge of this history.
True.
Which brings me to the point, and the Lucas Report is a database now that's on our website. Correct?
Not quite yet.
Not quite yet. It's going to be on our website. We encourage all of you to look at it. And I'm wondering if this guy is legit, did he do any of the murders that Henry confessed to?
And I would have to really, truly look into that, Vic, because he was active
during that time.
During that exact same time. And this guy's corridor was Florida to South California.
Yeah.
Southern California. So that's Henry's trolling ground as well, or what they say was. So very, very interesting. You have these overlapping dudes both confessing to all these murders. But I can almost guarantee a couple of these would have to be ones that Henry confessed to, if he's legit.
I hope so. I hope so. That would be really interesting.
But
yeah. Now we're about to break for lunch, and we're going to come back and do some more recording. We're going to go to Moroso Wood-Fired Pizzeria.
If you've never been to Waco, Texas, please come here for Moroso's.
You got to come for Moroso's. Yes.
God, they have the best pizza, man.
And if you've noticed,
I'm from New York too, man. So that's saying something.
That's saying something. Yeah, because every time you're up here, we go to Moroso because you just love it. Yeah. Now, after you move here, you're going to have to try some different restaurants.
Oh, come on, man. I don't want to.
Now, if you're a regular listener, you may notice that somewhere around here, we changed our introduction because I was in Moroso a couple weeks ago with Michael Jarrett. We were interviewing Michael Jarrett. That is going to air pretty soon about the Rita Salazar. Michael Jarrett was the assistant DA who actually solved the Rita Salazar case with the CODIS hit with the DNA. And so we were over there interviewing Michael. And Dan Moroso comes over and he says, I appreciate the ads on the website, on the podcast, but it's not Moroso Pizza, it's Moroso Pizzeria.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll change it. So we came back after lunch and we changed it, but we didn't go back and change anything that's already posted. So we're changing that to Moroso Wood-Fired Pizzeria. And then our others, and I want to have a live podcast there sometimes, and I also want to have one at the Hippodrome. Hey, listeners, if we had a live podcast with a multimedia presentation at the Hippodrome, say without a guest this time, just me and Jonathan talking, but showing a lot of documents and pictures and fun stuff and video on a screen behind us, would you come? Would you come? And if you would come, would you pay $10 to come to something like that? They have good food there. They have good drinks.
They actually do have good food there.
Yeah.
Remember you and I went to see that Beatle cover band?
We did. That was
so much fun. But they had great food.
And I saw John Anderson there, too. I sponsored John Anderson when he came. I sponsored the Beatles, too. That Beatle band.
The Beatle band.
Yeah. So let's go to Moroso Wood-Fired Pizzeria. Thank you for listening to the Vic Feazell Show podcast. And visit us at www.vicfeazell.com for more information. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Drive laid back and lower your speed, 1877 with Vic.